But Al then did it again late in the game, which was when White pushed it ahead and I think got that kick out, which ended up like winning the game, basically sealing it when they were running. Loved to see it from Al. Also loved Al coming in and pushing Bam out of the way when he tried to pick up Tatum after he got a T for it. Bullshit technical,
Yeah.
but that's what we are kind of talking about last time. We want to see some toughness. So Al, of all people, bringing the edge like that, awesome to see. So again, like I said, they just bounced back from everything that went wrong. And one of the biggest possessions of the game where it actually felt like things were kind of getting tight. Called timeout, immediately ran that Al pick and roll, got the advantage, threw it to Al in the short roll, pitched it right out to Jrue, wide open corner three, pushed the lead back up to 15, and that was like the closest they got. And that was just like so refreshing to come out of there, not run some ISO, like run a beautiful, beautiful set to get one of our probably best percentage in terms of like points per possession look we can possibly generate. Feels like we haven't had nearly enough of those this series. But again, that was just awesome. So all the ways we kept bouncing back to everything, kind of the mark of like this year is different.
Screws loose, they done stripped the bolts on them. Shoulda never sent them to pick up the work for me. Sprayed the park and had my shit inside the car. Marcus Smart Boy was shooting with a 36 on him. Said if he wasn't in the rush, they was all gone.
All right. Greetings, Chudlings. Welcome to another episode of Chuddy's Corner, sponsored by Nick Perino Real Estate. Check out nickperino.com for all your real estate needs. Big, small, everywhere in between. Nick will take very good care of you. Go check him out. That's nickperino.com. It is Monday. It is April 29th. The Celtics just completed Game 4 of the first-round series with the Miami Heat, and they get a 102-88 win in that game. We're here to break that down for you. I'm your host, Dugouts. With me, as always, Chuddy, King Chuddy. How you doing tonight?
Doing pretty well. That's, not an enjoyable watch, but an enjoyable outcome, I guess. So here, pumped about
Not
it.
an enjoyable watch, just like all the extra stress.
Just
all
the typical, the way that it's just never an enjoyable watching the Heat. As I always said before the series, I said even if we sweep them, it's not going to be enjoyable. So I just hate watching us play against them, regardless of basically how the game is going.
Yeah. The Heat, it's definitely not fun to watch. What was fun to watch, and we'll jump right into, I think, a good place to start, is Derrick White. What Derrick White was doing tonight, obviously, was pretty impressive. He had a 38-point night. I actually just came across the Derrick White stat. I hope I bookmarked it. Hang on. While I look for that, what do you do? Oh, yeah. Wait, no, I already found it. Dick Life special. Third player in the NBA playoff history to have at least 35 points, 8 3-pointers, and 3 blocks in the game. The other, Vince Carter and Damian Lillard. So pretty good company to find himself in. What did you think about Derrick White, and what did you think about the game? Start with Derrick White.
Yeah,
Let's give him his flowers. We've been on him saying he's got to wake up.
Exactly, and this was like his welcome to the playoff moment. And I don't know if it was anything specifically like game plan, or I don't think they were doing a ton different. I think it was probably just more of like I think he just needed that reminder, like, hey, you're not a role player. Like we kind of mentioned, these guys can't be role players, and he hasn't been all season long. He's been a key cog in our offense. He's been the engine a lot of times when our offense looked the best. And I don't, like I said, I don't know if the coaches took him aside or guys showed him stuff on film, but told him, hey, you got to be more aggressive. This is still like your team. When you can run the offense, pick your spots, be aggressive. It's there for you. And I mean, they've been disrespected him with matchups all series. And it was like today was just kind of that reminder, like, hey, you're not that guy from the last 2 years who's like our fourth, fifth option. You're a main guy on this offense. You can absolutely run the show, and he did. I think it definitely helped right out the gate. A few threes fell early. I think he hit his first 2 threes. He got a layup going to the hoop, but it was everything. You could tell the way he was locked in on both ends on defense. He was getting his hands on the ball. And I mean, yeah, it's something we haven't seen all year long. It's just good to see it in a playoff game, and good to see it. I mean, on this level, it's just career high, postseason or regular season. So I guess we've never seen this, but I mean, we've seen a lot of games where Derrick White just absolutely does take over, and it's why I think we were a little bit harsh on him last few games, and saying like he's not a role player. He's a guy who was being talked about like he could make an all-star team, like he could make a push for third-team All-NBA, and I think he maybe tailed off a little statistically.
My defensive player of the year pick.
Yeah, exactly, and I think tonight you saw that I mean, this guy's capable of being so much more than a role player, and so much of the night was focused on what happened to Porzingis, and it was a good reminder that like, if Derrick White's ascension this year has maybe been just as important as the Porzingis acquisition, even though, we already had White, but steps he's taken and the role he's taken this year have been probably as crucial to this team as anything. And tonight was a great reminder, and I think he just saw the best of Derrick in every possible way. Started off hot, was carrying us early, and really just did not let up the entire game until he hit that dagger three to close it out. So couldn't be happier for him. Couldn't be happier for the team. And we need this. And also, I think, as again we've said all year, when we get this with Derrick White, it doesn't seem like the Celtics ever lose. So it doesn't often happen a lot out of necessity, but we talk about there's so many things that can go right with the Celtics. But when you've got the Derrick White, the banging threes left and right, I mean, that's how do you beat this team?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Well, he had 16 points in the first quarter, 4 or 5 from 3. He was just absolutely on fire for this whole entire game. I also should mention, just a show note, we're having a few technical back-end issues, so Chud, you sound a little quieter on my end. I think it'll probably work out in the wash, but if anyone's wondering what the hell's happening, just know that we're about 2 seconds away from absolutely doxing our podcast host. we're not ready to totally bash them on their own platform yet, but so it's a little quiet. Just turn your radio up a little bit, and everything will work out just fine. But yeah, Derrick White, unreal night. It was good to see him get going. I do agree, like we've been saying, the team, if he's playing this way, I don't really see how we lose. When he plays to this level, it just makes everything easier for everybody else, especially Tatum and Brown. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, what else is really? You kind of covered a lot on the Derrick White, but
he's rock solid.
It's just weird. It's just weird. Like, I don't know what's going on. Like, that would make him just the first 3 games. It was like he was straight up sleepwalking. He got it going a little bit in the fourth. Last game, so maybe that carried over, but I don't know. He just plays so differently. Like, he has such a funny, like, kind of swagger or like cockiness to him when he is playing well, which makes it, I feel, like more noticeable when he doesn't have that. You can just sort of see it.
Well, again, I think it just comes down to how aggressive he is and how involved he is. I think the other few games, it's not like for the most part he wasn't doing things well. He just wasn't doing things. Like I said, there was so many times where he'd just be standing off to the side, and he can make threes. He doesn't have to be involved in like running things and bringing the ball up every single trip, but this year he has been involved a lot. He's been playing like a real point guard role and having a ton of usage. There's been games where he is having the ball in his hands more than the Jays, and I mean, tonight was probably a little bit of an outlier in that regard, but again, I mean, in the playoffs, you take games from wherever you come, and in a 7-game series, that's like one more thing. If every 7-game series is like, oh, that's the Derrick White game, it's eventually there's too many games for other teams to overcome, and this is a weapon we have and we've had in our tool belt all year, and it's been like a huge, I don't want to say secret weapon because the cat's out of the bag and Derrick White got plenty of attention this year, but it is like that other factor, like you said, whereas, I mean, tonight he combined for more points than the Jays. And I wouldn't even say it was that the Jays played poorly. It was just really that he played so well. But again, it's like, we'll give it to you from whatever angle. And again, something we've talked about all season long where it's like making the right play sometimes is like the boring play, but that's it. You look at out there, and I mean, they're disrespecting Derrick White. Like I said, they've been starting Jovic on him the last couple of games. They were guarding him they're putting Hero on him a lot. They were having Patty Mills cover him for the crying out loud. This borderline elder abuse what White was doing to him in the fourth quarter. Like, the matchups are there, and I mean, that's the thing with the Celtics team. Pick your spot. Like, you go down the line, no team. I mean, not many teams have 5 really good defenders, so they're gonna have to pick their poison. And I think they were daring White, I guess, to beat them, and he can dominate the guys they're putting on him. And you saw it tonight. And like I said, when he has it going from 3, and he had a couple got that confidence going, and then he wasn't hesitating at all, and it was beautiful. He really carried the Celtics tonight on offense. So love it. And that's what it's all about. That's why we keep being so excited about this team and the depth and the different options. Because of nights like this where you get a guy who is your third, fourth guy comes in and looks like an absolute superstar. So when that's happening on a team this good and well-rounded, like I said, it's hard to beat.
Yeah. So Derrick White, he's back. He's back, folks. Mr. Hot Hands is back. I think the next big story, obviously, Porzingis. So a little bit before about 2 minutes before halftime, Porzingis it was just kind of like a dribble handoff, right? Like, it wasn't even anything, just like a non-contact thing. He just kind of pulled right up, immediately was trying to get subbed out.
Yep.
Celtics ended up fouling to be able to call a timeout to get him out of there. Went right to the locker room. Should note, on the way out, he did fist bump a fan, which I feel like when you see that, it's almost like in my head, I had like some of the darkest, scariest thoughts going on in my head.
But in that same walk, he did the like cover your face with the jersey and scream.
Well, yeah, so he was throwing us. He was throwing. Yeah, exactly. That is true. Yeah. I forgot about that because that was so in that whole process. I was terrified. I saw the thing where he pulls his shirt over the head, which is like that usually is DEFCON. That's usually bad things.
Oh yeah.
But then at the very last second, a little fist bump to the kid. I go, hold on a second. hold on a
That's
second.
true.
No one does that. If someone knows they really just fuck something up, they're not necessarily doing that. So turns out that maybe kind of that is what ends up happening. So they, I think Woj, credit to Charles Lee and Abby for breaking the story really first. They were saying that they didn't think it was very serious on the regional broadcast. Charles Lee was kind of like, well, yeah, no, I don't think it's anything too crazy. And then Woj sort of confirmed it, saying that they don't believe it's anything to do with the Achilles, that it just seems like calf tightness. Earlier in the year on the other calf, the left calf, he missed about 2 weeks with a similar thing. So that would, probably take up a good chunk of the second round.
Yeah.
But I don't know. What is your – I mean, obviously, we don't know fully what happened, and we'll keep refreshing Twitter during the show. But I don't really know what do you think about the Porzingis injury?
Well,
you texted me, and you just basically said shut him down to the Eastern Conference Finals, right? Is that –
yeah. I mean, again, this is without knowing anything really, like other than just based on what we saw and the minimal reporting that's come out, which is who knows. But I thought, first of all, the play before the calf thing, he clearly like rolled his ankle and was already hobbling a bit, limping around out there. And I think part of it is like, he's fine and he's like, these are the playoffs. I'm not going to come out with every little like ankle roll, whatever. But my immediate thought was like, get him out of there. Like, why is he in there? And then I don't know, obviously, if this was related, because I think this was a calf on the other leg, but still, it's like he's already struggling to move a little bit. Maybe get him out of there for at least a few minutes. It was like he was trying to prove a point almost, like toughing it out. And then sure enough, this thing looked like his Achilles popped right away, non-contact. Obviously awful. But again, I thought, good early sign the way he was going off. You could see maybe that much pain right away. Maybe it's just like a super bad cramp, something like that. Calf tightness, who knows what that means. Hopefully, I mean, again, just a lot of speculating still. I wouldn't take anything as gospel, even though, Woj just doesn't tell lies. But I think that's, what they think right now. But who knows? There's going to be more testing. And, calves are tricky. We're seeing, Giannis deal with it in the Bucks series at the same time. You don't really know what to expect. So, I mean, you said 2 weeks in the regular season. Again, I would assume, like, regular season caution is different than, like, he could have been ready to play after 1 week, and they were just like, we're not doing that. Yeah. So now it's
that's what I'm saying. 2 weeks in the regular season, it might be a good sign.
Yeah. So I thought it was a good sign that they said calf tightness. I mean, it was a good sign that it wasn't Achilles or something torn immediately. Is always good. And then I thought it was good that they was listed as doubtful to return, which obviously you want him to come back, but doubtful. The fact that he wasn't like ruled out right away is like, okay, even if there's doubtful, there's like a sliver of chance that he might come back into
I know,
this
that's always
game.
so funny because as like, doubtful ever, has anyone ever came in when listed doubtful? I feel like it's never actually
coming
happened.
Out of the tunnel.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
that's always
a
funny.
He's in a walking boot. I'm sure that's just standard. He whatever.
Yeah.
But he did also tweet out something like, I'm going to be good or something with an emoji. So it seems like hopefully we've dodged a bullet.
He's a big social media presence. That's how I feel like he breaks all of his own stories.
Yeah. So, I mean, that is the story. And it's, again, without knowing too much more, I don't know. But, I mean, again, when I said that to you, is like, all right, we're up 3-1. There's no reason we shouldn't be able to close out this Heat team without Porzingis. I mean, you saw we won the minutes after he went out tonight, and in general, I mean, they're just overmatched right now. And then the second round is going to be Cavs or Magic. Again, like, even without Porzingis, we should win that. So I'm not talking like, overdo it, but if he needs rest, like, this is why you dominate the regular season and win the conference so you can afford to wait. And again, I'm not like, you don't have to do that, but if he needs the time, this will be a chance potentially to get him some rest. Let's take care of business, finish this series off. Hopefully the Magic Cavs go 7, so we get a week where we don't even have to do anything. And then, from there, if he has to sit out the first 2 games, fine. And it's almost like, all right, we'll wait until we are actually down in a series. We play those 2 games. We win 2 games at home in Boston against the Cavs or Magic. That's another week between those 2 games. So at a certain point, it's like, well, I don't know. It's no. I don't want to get too out in front of things like that, but I feel like it wouldn't be that crazy if we had to go all the way to Eastern Conference Finals potentially without him. Like, we can withstand that. As crazy as that sounds, and again, I mean, it's almost ironic because we keep talking that the reason we got Porzingis was for the Heat series, so now it would almost be like, all right, well, let's get the Heat taken care of, and then ideally rest him or something like that until we really need him. Which at this point, who even knows when that's going to be?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I don't. I certainly. I mean, obviously, it's more than likely he's going to miss time, and I'm okay with that. And especially now at this point, this is why it would have been really nice if we could have just wrapped up this series already. But
Mm.
again, we're not going to get too deep into the game two stuff. But yeah, I think I'm kind of with you to shut him down because I think either way against those teams, although the Magic had our number until this year when we did get him, so who knows? That might be a little something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, just shut him down. We shouldn't need him. I think the Eastern Conference Finals. Hopefully, he's good for the start of that. I think we'll definitely need his size against the Knicks. I'm just assuming it's going to be the Knicks. I guess I just sort of picked the Knicks, but
Yeah. I mean, if he's ready to come back, he's
there.
going to come back. It's not going to be like we're sitting out a healthy Porzingis to wait because we, think we can win. So it's, it's twofold
Yeah.
here, but it's like we don't have to necessarily rush him back and play him the second that he's like. We don't need to trot out like a 70% version of. No one wants to see him out there like limping around in a series. Like,
No,
you know what I mean?
no,
Like,
yeah, not at all. Yeah,
so we'll see. Again, it's a luxury that hopefully we'll have, and it won't be a big deal. And hopefully, it really was just like a bad cramp, and he'll get some stretching and rest up and get some vitamin D down in Miami before they leave, whenever they come back home. And again, miss one game, and like I said, he might get enough rest just if we can take care of business. That Cavs Magic series is 2-2, and they haven't even played Game 5 yet. So hopefully that goes 7. I would imagine it'll go at least to the end of this weekend. So potentially he could get some rest just in that sense alone. And then beyond that, we'll deal with if we get there, and kind of what goes from there.
yeah. I know. I was saying, give the guy if it's a cramp, give the guy an electrolyte and a Percocet, and we'll be ready to go.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right. Another, just I guess we can sort of segue this into Tatum's night, but the Tatum play, he was shooting he rolled his ankle basically on Bam and Abayu. Or any concern over that? He was shooting a 3. They called the whistle. They called a foul, and he went to still shoot after the shot, which and it's blocked. And Bam goes try to block it, and Tatum basically rolls his ankle on his foot. It's like one of those 3-point shots where the closeout gets underneath the guy. So I'm all for blocking the shots. I mean, we saw Missoula do it earlier in the year, so I get that. But I feel like when you're in the guy's I don't know. That one just seemed a little bit kind of like, I don't know about it being dirty because I know that they're like friends and stuff. And, like, you can even do banterize, like, oh, come on.
So I don't think the intent of what Bam did was dirty, but it just begs the question. Like, it's a bizarre play because what he did it's now a point of emphasis. You get in a guy's landing space on a jump shot, that's a flagrant foul. So that's what happened. It just was a shot that didn't count. It was after the whistle. So it's like, so it's basically the question is what happens if you commit a flagrant foul after the whistle, like not during play? Is what essentially happened. I wasn't sure.
Well, I just thought that they should have just called it the same way, like if you shoved a guy after the whistle or something like that. I don't know.
I guess what they did, they called it, a flagrant foul was 2 shots. So it wasn't like it was a shooting foul. You got 2 shots and we got the ball. It was our ball anyway because they fouled. So yeah, just. I don't think that was like a crazy dirty play, but it's just like, of course, this shit happens. After they had pushed White down to the ground to begin with to get in his way, Tatum shoots. It's like, just leave him alone. Why are you crowding him, getting in his way? The fact that you could hurt a guy on a play that they've done their damnedest to take out of the league, he's doing it after the whistle on a shot that doesn't even count. So it's like, again, I don't think it was dirty in the sense that he meant to injure him or maybe even get under him, but it's just like, why are you even doing this shit? Like, stop. So that pissed me off. And then it's just good to see, I guess, kind of the way the Celtics responded to it, I guess. So, obviously, it could have been much worse. It was ugly for a second. And this was when, the Heat were making a little run. They had gotten it down to 13. The Celtics had slowed down. There's about 4 minutes left. And things gotten a little tight. So, to me, the way they responded was kind of a theme throughout the game. And that was really the biggest takeaway and the biggest story to me that kind of got overshadowed by some of these other crazy things that came out of the game. But to me, the whole game was the Celtics just not giving in to any of the bullshit. This was all year we've talked about taking care of business has kind of been the theme. And that was what they did tonight in a playoff game in Miami. And that's just so good to see where it was there was the Heat. There was a kitchen sink game from Spo and the Heat. They tried everything they could possibly think of to muck this game up, to throw different shit at us, to try to fuck with us, get in our heads, push us around, foul us, all of that. And for the most part, the Celtics really responded to everything. We went through a few lulls where things weren't going well. We went through some stretches where we couldn't buy a fucking call. The refs were against us. The shots weren't falling for us. And through it all, I thought we never let anything really get us off our game. We just kept playing. shot weren't falling, move on. And the one thing that carried us through is the one thing that we've said is basically like exactly what we want to see, the defense. There's just no defensive letdown. When things weren't falling for us, we played just as well on the other end of defense. That second quarter, like things are going to shit. We only scored 19 points. Guess what? We only gave up 14.
They scored
Like,
12. Oh, that was 12.
No, maybe it was 12. Either way, but it was like that. Yeah, maybe 12. Either way, that's like an unbelievable defensive quarter. And that was when the Celtics were playing awful. We went through like a 4-minute stretch of not scoring. And I don't even think they cut the lead down because our defense on the other end was so good. And so, I mean, that's kind of one thing we've said, that the Celtics can be consistent with their defense. When everything else isn't going, they can right the ship on defense, eventually get back to what they do, and it'll go right again. And that was exactly what happened. Again, in that second quarter, even before the Kristaps injury, I mean, that was just an ugly, ugly quarter of basketball.
Yeah, they missed 5 straight out, like a turnover at one point. I'm like, this is, but then, well, the Heat, it almost reminded me of the Knicks Sixers game, where it was like no one wanted to make a shot.
Just an absolute rock fight. And then White, of course, who made all the big shots, made 2 big threes in a row. He made one late shot clock 3 off a catch, and then the next one we pushed it, which was another theme of the game, was how well we played when we pushed. We were just absolutely flying at them, and White just pulled up, quick stop in transition, pull up 3, buried it, put us up like 16. And that was just great to see. And it was like every little run the Heat did, every little bullshit they did, we bounced back in an awesome way. And that was probably the most encouraging thing to me in a night where like things weren't really going great, other than, for Derrick White. It was like everything was kind of hard for us, but we just kept fighting through and kind of making sure it worked. And again, just not like giving in, not getting down for anything that went wrong. And there were like a lot of opportunities for us to let down. The Porzingis injury, I thought, was another good opportunity. The kind of wind got sucked out of our sails. They cut it down to 12. And Tatum came out, hit a huge 3, and then we got a huge stop, came down, I think hit Al for a dunk, closed out the half on a 5-0 run to push it back up to 17. I just thought it was like, when Porzingis went out, that could have been a big turning point. If they scored one more bucket, it could have gone into the half, cut it to 10. It would have felt like a totally different game, pushing it back to 17.
Yeah.
That was huge close to the second quarter. And then did it a couple more times when it seemed like they were making a run. We would kind of always bounce back. I thought Joe was really good with the timeouts. Did a good job. They tried to go zone. We absolutely shredded the zone to pieces. It was awesome to see. And again, in the fourth quarter, when the whistles were not going in our favor at all, but we seemed like we didn't let it bother us. Just kept playing defense. It was awesome to see. I loved that play. There was a lot of fun plays, but a few that stuck out to me was when Horford was awesome. First of all, awesome Al Horford game.
All right, you're all over the place. I haven't had a chance to respond to any of this stuff.
My main take. Taking me an hour to get into my main take I wanted to say.
All right, go ahead about Horford.
Well, no, the way Horford played obviously is always great.
I can't stop that.
But the energy he played on a few plays where he always is like trying to get the team to play fast. And I just love when he like is racing to get the ball to the ref so he can inbound it when we have a slight advantage. He did that like 2 times tonight, and they both.
Sometimes they hold it out, and he's like screaming at him.
But today they were giving it to him. He did it once when he defended Hero, and Hero like tried to draw the foul and ridiculously like flailed and almost like finger rolled the ball into the crowd. And he like fell down into a cameraman, and Horford just like was not waiting at all, pushed it up. And I think
that was one of the Derrick White dunks on the other end.
I think that was when Tatum got the dunk, actually.
Oh, the Tatum dunk. All right, I knew there was a monster
dunk. That was awesome.
Dunk.
But Al then did it again late in the game, which was when White pushed it ahead and I think got that kick out, which ended up like winning the game, basically sealing it when they were running. Loved to see it from Al. Also loved Al coming in and pushing Bam out of the way when he tried to pick up Tatum after he got a tee for it. Bullshit technical. But
yeah.
That's what we were kind of talking about last time. We want to see some toughness. So Al, of all people, bringing the edge like that. Awesome to see. So again, like I said, they just bounced back from everything that went wrong. And one of the biggest possessions of the game where it actually felt like things were kind of getting tight. Called timeout, immediately ran that Al pick and roll, got the advantage, threw it to Al in the short roll, pitched it right out to Jrue, wide open corner 3, pushed the lead back up to 15, and that was like the closest they got. And that was just like so refreshing to come out of there, not run some ISO, like run a beautiful, beautiful set to get one of our probably best percentage in terms of like points per possession look we can possibly generate. Feels like we haven't had nearly enough of those this series. But again, that was just awesome. So all the ways we kept bouncing back to everything, kind of the mark of like this year is different.
All right, Chuddy is glowing right now. This is a great win for us.
This was my favorite game of the series.
All right. Let me see if I can remember all the stuff we went over. I agree about the matching intensity thing. I thought that it felt like this was a game when I think if not even matching, I think we were kind of putting it more towards them. Like, there was a lot of times where I felt like the Heat sort of were sitting there looking almost like the deer in the headlights, kind of like unsure. realizing realizing the writing on the wall that there's not a good enough team, and that all the rah bullshit isn't going to be enough to make up for that talent difference. So, but yeah, I totally did think that there was a lot of opportunities for us to have kind of tanked. And again, we always talk about the PTSD of the Celtics team. It was good to see that not happen.
Yeah.
So love the intensity of the match. I think that second quarter was disturbing. It was 19-12 was the second quarter.
Crazy.
So again, I can live with us only scoring 19-4 and letting up 12. Yeah. So, but I think that was also just kind of like that's just a good example of us kind of matching what the Heat were trying to do, because I think again when our shots aren't falling in the past, it's kind of led to the defense sliding, and just the whole game. I mean, 24 points in the first, 12 in the second, 23 in the third, so up 29 in the fourth. I feel like that was kind of like a little bit fluky there.
Yeah.
The Heat did go on two. They did go on two kind of long. They went on a 10-3 and a 14-5 run at some point in the fourth quarter. So the fourth quarter got a little bit whatever. But the point is that those 3 quarters where it was actual full-blown intensity on all sides, we were just suffocating them. And that's the thing we've talked about all year.
Back from those runs, even in the fourth, too. Like, we didn't let it spiral.
But I just think, fuck, what was I just saying now? Fuck. You just talked for 20 minutes so you can fucking get my takes off here. We always talk about how the defensive, like, you can, no matter what's happening on the offensive side, your defense can always be good. So we kind of kept that going. That's a mantra that I hopefully that they stick with. The physicality too. I had a few people reaching out because of I mentioned I wanted to see Tatum just like crash through Bam on a play. He had that one in the first quarter. I don't know if I can give that one credit because I don't think I think it was like a Bam flop pretty much. And 2, like Tatum just looked like annoyed afterwards that it got called. Like he kind of thought it was a flop too. So like I'm talking, if you haven't seen it, go look up in the 08 Olympics. Like Kobe got it. I think it was a foul. Was it a foul on Kobe? Obviously, defensive foul on Kobe. Yeah, because defensive foul on Kobe. Like I want that where it's just like, yeah, I'm gonna give up a foul.
I did like how Tatum just like elbow checked Patty Mills though in the backcourt on that screen. It wasn't Bam, but he could just push Patty Mills like, get the fuck out of here, like quit your full court shit. Like take
the whole time they were just matching it. You could tell that they were not getting pushed around. They had a pretty big rebound advantage early on. It was like 17-10 after the third. I didn't take a look at what it finished at. I got it pulled up right here. So got a little bit closer, 46-42. Excuse me. I was going to sneeze.
Well, there it is.
All right, now I'm getting going. Now I'm going, baby. Now I'm rolling. I thought that was just a good sign. So it evened out a little bit, 46-42, but I do think that the rebounding earlier on kind of, again, set the tone where I feel like the Heat kind of got an opportunity to feel like what it was like being the ones punked. The Heat crowd is a joke. That's just a total.
Loudest thing all night was when they showed Messi on the Jumbotron. Literally.
I know. I saw someone tweeted out that Messi's going to leave that game thinking that Derrick White's the best player in the NBA. And I was like, wow, he might be. After tonight. He could be. Tonight he was. Pathetic crowd. I don't want to hear shit about the traffic because I always see Celtics fans there on time. So what the fuck's up with that?
That's not a comparable fan base or scenario.
And they left relatively early too. Yeah, I don't.
They were gone.
So this is just sort of an aside, I guess. But like, I don't understand like leaving games early. Like, how much time do you really save in that situation? Probably not much at all.
This is the fan base that left before the Ray Allen shot.
Well, I know
Game 6 of a finals game. They missed the most iconic moment in franchise history because they wanted to get out to the beach 5 minutes earlier.
So so for the Heat, you think that it's just like the beach is right there, probably thing.
No,
but
I just think it's that they're just not fans.
Generally
they're not good
speaking,
fans.
though.
They don't know what they're doing. Like
right, yeah.
They're there. It's just like an event. That's like their night. Like, what are we gonna do tonight? Oh, let's like go to the game as a pregame, and then we'll go to the club and like
go to 11.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Give me a break.
Yeah. No, yeah, they're pathetic. They're jokes. I was just more meaning, like, generally speaking. Like,
generally speaking,
even there was like 40 seconds left in the Celtics game, game 2. Game 2, and we were losing, and people were leaving. I just don't get it. Even in a loss, you gotta sit there and watch that shit. You gotta let that stuff. You gotta let that shit soak in because it makes you feel better when it pays off.
I just stand.
You gotta sit there and absorb those losses.
The ushers have to drag me out long after the game's over. The arena's cleared.
Yeah, I'm always hiding under a seat, just like hiding in a stall.
Yeah, 100%, 100%.
Yeah, but anyway, yeah. And I guess the last point that you talked about was Al. Yeah, I mean when the it's a nice luxury to have that when something like
Yeah,
that happens with Porzingis that it's like okay, well we just go
right.
back to just having Al be our
Like
center.
arguably been the better
Um,
big man in this series.
I think for to do big man stuff, I feel like yeah, like we kind
Yeah.
of talked about before, like Porzingis. I mean, except Porzingis though was getting some
No, no.
great mismatches down low before he left the game, and it's
Not
just
from
like
KP and more just Al's friggin' awesome.
right,
He's playing like an
timeless
absolute
classic.
demon.
Yeah, did you
Oh
see him say
boy.
the other day too that he would say that after
He's
Saturday's
ready to
game he
play
was
it
like,
the next day.
"We played. Did we want to
Yeah.
play it
Love
back
to
to
hear
back?"
it. Love to hear it. Yeah, no, I mean
Yeah, love to hear that.
Al's the absolute man.
Uh,
But no, I mean to me, again, the biggest thing is how this was a game where like we always talk about when Miami wants to drag us into the mud, they want to muck it up, do all this shit. Today it was like they did it, and we were just like, we're gonna beat you in the mud. We beat them in their own like muddy, shitty game. It
mhm.
was like we're gonna just keep attacking you guys. We're gonna ram it down your throat. We're gonna get the ball out of the hoop. We're gonna fly up. And I mean that's another big part of Derrick being involved is just pushing the pace, getting into our stuff early. We were attacking him. I didn't think Jalen had an awesome game, but his aggression going at them was just I thought that was awesome.
Yeah,
I thought Tatum, like everyone, just so purposeful, so aggressive, and just playing like you want to make this into a rock fight, like we will fucking blast you with rocks. Then, like we will win that fight, and that fires me up so much. We know we can win the games where everything's working and we score 150 points. Like we're gonna win those 40-point blowouts. Those are gonna happen. The game like this where they push back and they're dragging things against us and making us work for it. To come and out of that and look like no, like we're actually the tougher team and we love this. This is we want to live in the mud. We want to fight in the mud. It's just to me so fucking
yeah.
exciting. And Al, I thought was a
And
big
that's
part of
carried
that.
over from Game 3 too, because
I
we
mean,
were
it's
talking about Game 3 in the podcast. Like I was nervous that we were getting in the mud with them, and then we ended up winning 104 to 84. I mean, this is 102 to 88. It's almost like an identical kind of situation
yeah,
where we just
exactly.
said, "Fuck it, we'll get muddy."
But yeah, no, I mean, I love that. Jrue Holiday, he was an absolute mud warrior tonight too. Just watching him play on
Oh yeah.
defense, the way he stepped it up after game two, watching him fight around some of those screens, the way he's like switching off different guys mid possession. Can't say enough about the things he's doing that don't show up in the box score. He's just been absolutely excellent. He's such a joy to watch, and it was on full display tonight, along with the other guys, obviously. But again, just so awesome to see. And shout out Luke when he had his first shift after Porzingis went out. He came in for some real minutes against Bam to end that third quarter. More than held his own.
Oh
Multiple. He had an
yeah.
offensive rebound tip back. I think he had a block on Bam. He stripped Bam another time that led to a breakaway. I don't even know if Bam. I think he drew maybe one foul and hit like one of the two free throws. But other than that, like Luke basically outplayed him or at least went toe to toe with him.
Yeah. Luke
Not a
should not
surprise to
be
the
intimidated by
diehard
that matchup.
Celtics fans, I don't think. But I'm sure there were some people out there being like, "Oh my God, they have to put Luke
What the?
Cornett in against Bam." Like,
Yeah. Imagine you just
haha,
never,
for
you
them.
barely watched a
Yeah,
Celtics game this year, and you see
yeah.
Cornette just rolling, and you're probably like,
But
"Wow, this is what they have next." After
right, and it's
Porzingis,
like
you're
I
probably
said.
like,
I
"What
mean,
the
yeah,
fuck?"
Bam's a lot stronger and more athletic and all that. But at the end of the day, Luke's got 4 or 5 inches on him, and
Yeah,
he
he's
used it.
7'2".
Awesome to see. I'm sure, assuming Porzingis misses, we'll see more Luke. I'm sure we'll see some Tillman at some point. A little more Al, but just great to see. Deserves that shout out when a ton of the bench really wasn't anything special, but again, it was just so much Derrick. And then again, I just love like
Yeah, I don't think Porzingis and Hauser
Peyton
scored.
and Hauser. Yeah, I don't think so.
Oh yeah, Peyton.
Either, but again, when you get 38 from Derrick White, it's like,
Yeah,
you're going to get it from somewhere, and the Heat, they just can't score. That was, I thought, my other big takeaway from this game was, like, after watching the last game, and then especially this game, in the back of my head, I couldn't just help but think, like, retroactively, man, like, I'm not even as mad, like, retroactively now about game two, because I felt like this was just, like, if they shot like this, that game was just such an outlier. Like, a lot of those shots today, it's like, these aren't much worse shots than in game two, but these guys just aren't good
yeah.
shooters.
Early on,
And
they
tonight
got
they
a
don't
lot
have
of
the
open
devil
threes.
magic. But yeah, and they were just bricking everything over and over. And it was like we weren't too bothered. And it's like, oh, maybe this is why Joe never like gets too high or too low, because he knows that he just trusts that like this is gonna play out over time. And it was good to see finally it seemed like some of the devil magic
Yeah, but
wearing out where they shot like what was supposed to happen was actually happening. And Highsmith
it's
and
one of
Martin
those
are
things
hitting
where
20 30.
I'm fine in retrospect saying that, but I don't want to think
Yeah.
that in time because I feel like all last year, every game we said, "Well, it can't last. It can't
Right.
last. It
Yeah.
can't last." So it's not.
Hopefully
We need to
finally
go
run
and
out.
drive the final stake in the heart on Wednesday
100%.
before I think there's really any like being like, "Nope, yep, see, it just." But you're right. The shots didn't fall today. They got a lot of early open threes. It was a little bit nerve wracking, but again, when they don't fall. the Heat doesn't really have much of another way to score on you. So it
Right. Well,
definitely,
that's the other thing too, where they keep saying the key. And it's like I don't want to oversimplify it, but that team, man, and even in the first quarter, they're staying in it because Hero was awesome. I thought off the bat, he was kind of keeping them. It was
yeah,
like him and Derrick White going toe to toe. That wore off, and then it's like they just have to work so hard for everything. And when they're not getting crazy 3-point luck, I mean, scored 80-something points 2 games in a row. Like that's pretty friggin' bad for an NBA team
yeah.
in
And I think that game too
2024.
also was good, maybe just for a wake up that it's just like we're coming in the favorites, a lot of high expectations, but at the end of the day, we can bleed just like anybody else. So you play dumb in the playoffs, you know, doesn't really matter necessarily.
Yeah, 100%. And then I think the last thing, well, I mean, we can talk about as many things as you want, but the last main takeaway I had that we haven't really touched on too much is I thought just I loved kind of the way Tatum played. I don't think this is a game that'll be like super memorable for either Jay. Their stat lines weren't amazing, but I just loved the intensity. Tatum, high rebounding game, awesome defense, just like the way they were closing out, making little plays left and right, kind of extra effort, extra energy. They both obviously had huge dunks. Each of the Jays had a big kind of statement like dunk where they got some energy into it. Tatum, again, didn't hit a ton of shots, but it seemed like he hit a lot of big ones, a lot of tough threes that seemed like they were like timely when we really needed a basket. It seemed like he was stepping up and getting it. And then maybe my favorite play or one of them of the entire game was just like a possession. I can't remember exactly when it was. I think it was sometime in the third quarter. Well, it was actually on the play that Jalen got that dunk, that breakaway dunk, but it was set up because an awesome defensive possession. Tatum made a good play and then sprinted back into the play to close out what looked like it was going to be a wide open corner three for Martin. He got back, awesome contest, maybe even tipped it. And then he like went flying by him to the corner into the crowd, came out and like was sprinting up the wing on the other side, made Bam sprint back to try to stop the fast break, and Bam had to overrun the play. That allowed Brown to get into the middle of the lane. There's nobody there. He got that wide open dunk. So that was a kind of thing. Again, nothing that will show up in any box score. Tatum won't get pointed to what he did on that play in the highlight. It'll be the dunk by Brown. But that entire play was set up by our superstar out hustling every other player on the court on both ends to not even like touch the ball. I was just so fired up on my couch. People were probably watching and play, wondering why. Like, what are you even excited about? To me, that was like one of the biggest plays.
Well,
I've
should
seen
we?
Tatum make? Because I was just like, this is so.
So it won't show up in the stat sheets and like that. So should we give it the Chuddy's corner play of the game?
I'm down to.
That way,
To me, that was the play of the game. Because when you're a superstar,
it stays in posterity. We'll have to go find the play. I know what play you're talking about, but
what other guy's best player like that is making those extra? I mean, those are the kind of like plays you expect from the hustle guy. That's like a Peyton
there it
Pritchard
is.
type of that you would like to see that from. And to see Tatum out there doing that is just so awesome. He was fired up, and then I also.
So whoever wants to sponsor the Chuddy's Corner play of the game,
yeah,
reach out.
I love that.
That's now the Chuddy's Corner play of the game, play of the year,
and it's a deserved first one for sure because that play got me so fired up. And those are the little things that championship teams do, and that superstar players who are only care about winning. It's like you can say all the right things, but go out there and make plays like that. That just shows me you are literally doing everything you can to create the tiniest advantage to help your team win, and that's the kind of stuff that gets me fired up. And then in his post game interview too, after the game, I saw.
We got to talk about the dunk over Caleb Martin.
Oh yeah. So obviously,
Martin straight to hell.
Well, you kind of already talked about that play. 'Cause I think that's when Al raced it up. We had numbers. He took it. Caleb Martin kind of did that. Like I can't decide if I'm going to make a business decision, take a charge, or maybe
tried to take a charge.
Reach in. He made the worst decision, which was like nothing, and just got absolutely trampled by Tatum. Tatum with one of the biggest dunks in his. I saw people on Twitter in the moment saying it was the biggest dunk of his career. I don't know. He's had a lot of good ones.
I don't know about that.
He's had a lot
dunk
of good
over
ones.
LeBron.
But it must have felt good to be on that little fucking rat Martin. And then he just, you could tell, he stared him down and was talking shit to him too, which I just love to see.
Good.
So fired up. And then again, kind of an extension of all that, after the game, I saw his interview on the court, and they asked him, they're like, how's your ankle? He's like, I'm fine. Everything's fine. And they're like, what happened on that play? He's like, nothing. He's like, get up, move on. Keep playing basketball. He's just like, he sounded pissed. He sounded fired up. And he's just like, we can play a lot better. Like, we didn't play well tonight. We're going to play a lot better. Like, good. Like, yeah, exactly.
Love it.
Business trip to Miami, won both these games. Not impressed. Go home, play better. Like, fired up. And, this is that Heat bullshit they tried at the end of the game. We knew they were going to try it before the series started. Tonight, you saw them dig extra deep into the bag of bullshit as I think they're reaching, like, the stage of acceptance where they're like, all right, we can't really beat this team. Like, but what else can we do? I hope that the Celtics come out pissed off. Like, we're done with this team. Let's go finish them the hell off and be done with them. Hopefully end this whole era of the fucking Heat would be nice. So I loved it. I love these kind of games. Obviously hate seeing the guys, Porzingis thing and potential Tatum injury. I don't like any of that stuff, but otherwise, just love the resilience, love the fight against a team like this tonight to just be like, yeah, none of this shit's working. The zone too, when they tried to muck it up with the zone, slowed us down for like one trip. First play, get it right to Jrue. White cuts backdoor right through, get it to White, goes up and dunks it in traffic right underneath. Should have got fouled and won uncalled. Bitch, Joe's freaking out at the refs. Go back down, they come into that zone. Exact same play. Another backdoor cut to White, another dunk, and got smacked again. No call. That was just an awesome sequence to hit. 2 dunks in the half court, back-to-back possessions for White off beautiful passes from Holiday. So
unusual
that was fun. But, I mean, again, it's just like everything that he were trying, the Celtics had an answer tonight. And nothing about this one was pretty, but those are the kind of games that we want to see them win. We know we can win the pretty games. So to win an ugly game in the playoffs against that team and come out of there looking like, yeah, you gave us some shots and we gave back better than we got. It feels pretty damn good.
Yeah. No, it feels really good. Like to go down and just win. This is like what we've been hoping to see out of this team, I think, for the last few years is like just kind of that, okay, they punched another home. We're not going to go down to Miami to split anything. We're going back with both wins. So to come back 3-1, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I just want to – it's kind of like, again, it's one of those like early on notes that doesn't really end up mattering that much by the end.
Mm-hmm.
But I did love Scal like early in the game because the refs were calling like everything on the Heat early on in the game.
The next thing I was gonna say.
And which I don't – it's like sometimes I'm kind of like, well, what – like my take is going to almost sound like I didn't like that. But it was kind of funny to see the Heat finally get called for their bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
But Scal's like, yeah, this is just like completely different from like what game one was. He's like, as a player, it's like you got to adjust and you got to know. And it's just like the way he's describing it, it's like that's good analysis. Like, yeah, like it's good. The players got to realize, but it's also like he's just describing this just like awful system of officiating. It's just like it's just like from game to game, it could be completely different than the one you played before. Yeah. It's like imagine if like you're just playing like Monopoly. It's just like
new rules.
In this game, it's this week we're doing completely different rules of Monopoly.
It's house rules for Monopoly, so maybe
Monopoly's probably the worst example. Actually, it's probably the worst example. But like you learn that it's like nope. Actually, this time that's not even a rule. It was just funny how he just explains it so like casually, but describing this awful officiating issue.
100% noticeable. It was a different whistle tonight on both ends. I thought, the Celtics definitely were getting calls early. I think we were more aggressive. It seemed like close to evened out by the end of the night. I think it was like 10-0 free throws to us in the first quarter. A ton of fouls. I actually wrote down the line. Scal said at the beginning of the second quarter, he's like, well, he goes, Miami fouls every possession. Tonight, I guess the officials just decided to call it. Which is like true, but this series has been so physical, and we've been fine with that. But tonight, it was like a different game out there. So, I mean, again, they're switching officials. So, I guess what I always say is as long as they're consistent within the game, and I said they pretty much were, they called it tight, and they called it tight the whole game. There were a lot of annoying, like, ticky-tack calls. Again, not favoring, I didn't think, really either team. But again, that to me is just a sign of maturity for the Celtics that we didn't bother. We didn't let it bother us. We just adjusted, played through it, and played better. But, ridiculous officiating for a lot of the game. Don't want to see that in a playoff game.
Yeah. All right, you got anything else on this game except let's just go home and fucking end this shit?
Yeah, I mean, a few little notes. I thought so. I have obviously multiple TVs. I got my main feed I have on the regional broadcast, obviously, but I do have the TNT view fired up on the side, which I thought was interesting. It was like 45 seconds behind, which is just weird. I don't know what's up with that.
Oh, wow.
But then I switched over volume like a couple times, and I see they're talking about something interesting, and I did flip over for Chris Haynes' mid quarter interview with Joe at the end of the first, and he said something like the second quarters have been like really good for you guys. Like, what do you think about that? And Joe's just like, quarters don't matter. We just need to play. It was like walked away.
All that.
Like, all right,
Love
you're
that.
an idiot for asking him a question like that. Like, what do you expect him to say? So that was funny. And then I can't remember for sure if I pointed it out on the pod. I think I have at one point, but it's like Hero when he's coming off dribble handoffs or anything. Seems like I don't know if the Celtics said something to the officials or it's just become more obvious, but it seems like they have started to notice that. They called maybe 3 travels on Hero tonight. All of them were blatant, but I feel like they just weren't calling that until tonight. So that's good to see because it seems like he's always sneaking in an extra step to kind of get to the rim a little bit faster. And you throw in Bam moving screens and then Hero traveling off the catch, and it does become a pretty hard action to stop. They're just going to let that happen. So it was good to see them at least call a couple.
Mike had a line where he's like, "Usually don't see 2 travels called in a week. We've seen a couple called in one night." I thought it was good stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, they're. I thought they were obvious, so I was very glad to see that. And then again, I think it was just these like little moments in the game that mean so much. Where again, I don't think Jaylen had the most memorable game ever tonight, but again, you just set the tone in the third quarter, came out, went in hard, got right to the rim, like muscling guys around for a layup, and then the next possession came down, just did like a jab step 3. Huge 5 points. I think that gave us our first 20-point lead of the night, and it seemed like we kind of held it down from there. So again, just like so many options, so good to see when Derrick has it going. Like everyone was happy to defer, let him shoot it 26 times. Everyone seemed happy about it, but it's like, oh, things are going left for a second. Oh, here's Jaylen to come in, make a couple quick baskets. Here's Tatum. I'm going to take over for a second. And again, that's just what makes this team so good. So to see it in spots like this is extremely encouraging. So, like I said, I'm pretty happy about almost everything that was happening tonight. If you couldn't tell.
All right. Yeah. Excellent. All right. The Celtics put a bow on it there. They get the 102-88 win. They go up 3-1 in the series. Can now close it out at home on Wednesday. No bullshit. Let's get it done. Let's get it over with.
Amen.
Put this whole fucking shit in our rear view.
Yeah.
All right. Around the NBA. Okay, so we're pretty long already on the pod. So how about I just go through and just give my rapid fire thoughts on this series that are happening so far. So,
all right.
Bucks Pacers is, I said at the beginning, that's the NBA TV series.
You said that's all Magic.
Oh, well, they're both NBA. Those are 2 NBA TV series. So I guess that saves time. I don't have to mention the other series. Those are still remaining. That although the Magic one they made a little interesting. That one's tied 2-2.
That's a classic series of both teams that just look completely different at home and at the road suck. Like, and now everyone's like, oh, the Magic figured it out. They'll go back to Cleveland and the Cavs will blow them out.
So that one's going 7.
Yeah.
Bucks Pacers is basically over. The Pacers are going to end up winning that series. The Bucks have nobody left.
Dead.
The Clippers Mavericks series is lit. That's going to be sick. That one's going to be unreal the whole way through. That game, it was 116-111. The Clippers won. Paul George had like a crazy 3-pointer. That's like I think that's probably one of like more of the statement plays. It's pretty awesome.
But how about the Harden performance? You kidding me? Turning back the clock.
Oh yeah.
Maybe the best playoff game of his career. He was absolutely unbelievable. Going ISO over and over again. That was vintage Harden. They could not stop. Of all the people to save the Clippers from one of the biggest chokes in NBA history, it's Harden coming through with, if not the best playoff game of his career, definitely like the most clutch playoff game of his career. That was unreal. Harden and Kyrie basically going back and forth.
I know, they were going shot for shot. That was crazy.
Tough day for any Nets fan who was like, oh, I'll watch a little playoffs. You know what's going on in this game. That's all about
if you had a Nets fan friend, text that person.
Stop that. I saw some good tweets that were like, wow, Harden and Kyrie, can you imagine if these guys would play together? Like,
all right. The Thunder swept the Pelicans tonight.
Yeah.
So that one, you don't really have a lot to say about that one. I don't at least. The other one that
just
the sweep
Zion killed it. It's brutal.
Right, exactly. That one was bordering on NBA TV series when Zion went down.
It was tonight. That's where they finished off the series tonight on NBA TV.
That's where they put it? Oh, wow. That's where they sent it peacefully to die, that series. All right.
Pretty much.
Timberwolves, Suns. Okay, the Suns is hilarious. We can spend at least a couple minutes on the Suns.
Yeah.
What a freaking train wreck. I love the clip of Devin Booker that everyone's sharing, saying, like, respectfully, I don't think anyone's going to be able to guard us. They fucking were horrible. Anyone can guard them. The Suns are screwed. There's already a couple reports too, where it's like every one of the big 3 players had like a report about them like not being happy there, and it's like no shit. Why would you be happy there? But you're kind of fucked. I mean, Beal, they'll never be able to get rid of Beal. His contract's the worst contract ever, right? So like, no way they're getting out of that. I saw a report that Booker wants to go to New York, which is like hilarious. That's like that's the thing when the Knicks are playing well. Everyone suddenly now the Knicks are linked to every team. It's funny. And Durant too. They're saying Durant has like his really never liked his role with the team. It's it's kind of so. That's a fun dumpster fire. They go from Suns in 4, that awesome run. We talked about this a little bit last episode, to being done, being swept. Sayonara. What do you think about that series?
Yeah, I mean,
Anthony Edwards, do you think the Timberwolves and them have any shot too to challenge the Nuggets? I guess
yeah,
something kind of
I
play
think
the seed for.
I think they definitely do. I think it was we both kind of nailed the prediction. I think we thought it'd be a more competitive series, but we both thought the Wolves would win, and we thought it would kind of be the like Anthony Edwards playoff coming out party. I think that was definitely the case. I mean, he had 2 games where he took over. He had the huge dunk last night to close it out after a bunch of awesome plays, a huge block on Booker, talking all kinds of shit. He had the game where he went toe to toe with KD and was talking shit to him. So he kind of dominated. And I think the biggest takeaway was that like the Wolves defense all year was one of the most elite units in the league, and I think everyone was like, yeah, well, we'll see what happens in the playoffs. We've seen the story with Gobert before, and I think now we've seen, like, Gobert actually has good defenders around him. This is a different animal. That defense absolutely held up, and then some against the Suns. The Suns had basically no answers. So, yeah, I mean, and Denver hasn't looked super great. They've obviously been trailing in big time in every game. They lost the last game. If they hadn't hit that Murray shot in the 20-point win, this would be a 2-2 series potentially. Lakers are up again.
Losing right now.
Lakers are up in the third quarter. Jamal Murray has a calf injury. He was questionable. He's playing, but hasn't been great. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope sprained his ankle tonight. So things are looking at least a little hairy. The Nuggets also have shooting only like 22% on wide open threes. So a lot of things just aren't going like great. They're still really good and probably going to get by. There's no problem. But I think the Timberwolves, they play well, can definitely give them a series. They already kind of play them well. They've got obviously Rudy, Cat, and Naz Reid, 3 bigs who can, not a lot of teams can throw that much size at Denver. They got size on the wing, and they got, Ant, who's ascending right now. If he can have a huge series, I absolutely think they have a puncher's chance, if not better. So that could be maybe the most fun series going. I'm excited for that. And in terms of
that's going to be a good one.
We talked about it before. It's classic new owner syndrome. He came in, he got his new toy. He immediately sold everything in the franchise
crazy
for 2 guys. And they got the big 3, and they have no one else around them. And I think most of us said at this point, like, haven't you learned from the NBA lately that you can't just build a super team around 3 stars that don't fit together and just hope the rest works out? I mean, the supporting cast around those guys was awful. There's just too much overlap in the skills where bringing in Beal is like, it's like a waste of Beal. No matter what you think of Beal, it's like he's got 2 guys who basically play the same role as him and are better at it. So, again, to just use that asset and that much of your salary cap on that is obviously insane. It looks even worse now. And then, the team is absolutely screwed. They don't control their own draft pick for the rest of this decade, literally. And they can't, because of the second apron rules, it's like they can't sign MLE guys. They can't aggregate deals. They literally are so fucking screwed. Like, there's nothing they can do to improve this team.
Yeah.
I can't.
Are they at a point where it's like there's going to have to be like a bailout or something? Does the league step in?
I think people always assume like, oh, like they obviously can do something. Like, no, they really can't do anything. No one's taking the Beal contract. Their choices are essentially run it back and as best you can and like hope this works itself out. And you just hit them like some literal minimum guys or something, get super lucky with like a late draft pick and just pray that things improve, which seems crazy. The only other option is literally take a step back and either trade Booker or Durant. Try to get some of your draft picks. I don't know what you do. It's such an awful situation for them, and all your draft picks are gone for the next 10 years, so you can't even suck. Like, that's not even an option.
Yeah. I know. Well, like, imagine if you're like Beal and you make that Houston to get traded out of Washington, then you end up there and they trade everyone, and you're basically just like, you're just on a Western Conference Washington team at that point that's just like terrible and actively just trying to be bad, and you're just there to take up contract space.
It would be hilarious. And I mean, I don't want to. It's not like just Beal's fault, but he had like an all-time awful game last night. And
after saying I ain't never been swept in my life,
I'll be damned if I get swept. And then he came out to the press conference and goes, "Well, I'll be damned." Was the first thing he said.
He said that?
Yeah.
Oh, that's kind of funny.
It's kind of funny, but if I'm a Suns fan, I don't think I'd be laughing.
No.
But he was awful.
Well,
both ends. He got absolutely torched left and right by Ant. He, at one point, I think at the end of the half, had 0 points, 0 assists, 0 rebounds, and 3 fouls. Well, getting cooked on defense. Like, you can't show up to an elimination game and be that bad. When Booker had almost 50 points, Durant had like 33, is like, the only thing your team has a hope is if all 3 of these guys are awesome, and one of them is just absolutely sucking. Like, oh, man. I'm genuinely curious to see what that Suns team does. I think, like, is it insane to just call the Nets and be like, this is embarrassing, but will you just give us all our picks back for Booker? Like, then at least you can control your own franchise. You can then tank and not worry that you're just giving away. Like,
I think that is the way out. Trading one or both those guys is the only way out. You have to get your picks back.
Right.
You have to.
So, I mean, the Nets absolutely have them over a barrel. So, I don't know.
Oh,
Like, I
funny.
just
The Nets give them at the picks where they get Booker and KD. Like,
they're
yeah, we'll give them all, but you're going to give us both back.
yeah. Like, I don't know how they make the money work. They have to give Ben Simmons would have to go back, which is hilarious.
Oh, that'd be so
This could get
sick.
pretty. I don't know. I really don't know what their options are without getting rid of one of those guys. And then it's like, if you don't get rid of the guys, then are they going to be pissed? Especially Durant is like, I'm not saying he has a right to be pissed, but I don't doubt he's going to be happy playing out his last few good years on a team that blows and has no means to improve it. Like, it's hard to understand how screwed they are.
All right. Suns are screwed. And Nuggets also have the lead now. That's hilarious.
Yeah, just hit a couple big threes.
All right, the last series, obviously, we have to talk about. This has been the series of the first round for sure. Knicks Sixers. So the Knicks end up winning 97-92 to go up 3-1 in Philly. Although it sounded like they were in MSG, that was an embarrassing showing for Philly. Tough look for the Philly sports scene. Tough look for the Phillies, a good sports town crowd. The whatever they call the Philly arena was just totally filled with Knicks fans.
I think it's the Wells Fargo, if they haven't changed.
Wells Fargo. They were cheering when the Sixers were missing free throws. They put a Knicks jersey on a Wilt Chamberlain statue outside afterwards. They were chanting "fuck Embiid" in the arena. Grizzlies state of affairs. As far as the game goes, it was a pretty crazy game. I thought there was a stretch there for about 5 minutes where neither team hit a field goal in the fourth quarter. It was like where it still could have been anyone's game. Someone just had to come and take control of it. And both teams, it was just an absolute brick fest in the fourth quarter. But yeah, this series is awesome. I really, really need Philly to win in New York. I don't think they're going to be able to, but I just need more of this series. I don't want this series to ever end.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like
it has really the stuff on the court stuff is fun. It's like chippy as hell, but just the fan stuff is hilarious.
Well, it's chippy as hell, but at the same time, the refs are calling it tight, so it's like they're rewarding the grifting, which has just gotten so outrageous between some of the epic grifters in the series. It's hard to watch in that sense, but I mean, in terms of what's happening on the court, it's just that what's embarrassing is that Philly can't get a rebound. I mean, they lost the game 100%. The only thing you can point to why they lost that game is offensive rebounds. I think the Knicks literally had 17 offensive rebounds in the fourth quarter. It's laughable. They're getting the rebound every time. They could not put the ball in the fucking ocean, and it doesn't matter because they just keep getting more shots and more shots and more shots. And eventually, Jalen Brunson, who's finally gotten going in the Philly games, he had 47. Iconic performance. I think he was the only one on the Knicks who basically made a shot the entire game. And he was helped by everyone on his team just getting the ball and handing it back to him over and over again. It's like, yeah, I guess eventually you are going to make some shots, but pathetic by Philly. Coaching malpractice to play Embiid all 24 minutes in the second half.
That was the craziest shit.
Beyond useless.
Have you ever seen Embiid play, dude? Like,
I would love to hear.
The worst strategy.
Like, I get that the team can't hang on to anything when he's out there, but if you run him into the ground, then it's like, well, they're going to be bad with and without him. So, I mean, I just don't understand how that can be the strategy in that game. Absolute coaching malpractice by Nurse. Another complete dud by Embiid in the fourth quarter where it's like at some point this is just who this guy is. We can't, everyone's making excuses. He's hurt. Well, he didn't look hurt in game 3 when he scored 50 points. So it's like, you say we're going to come back, we're going to win the series. You have to score 50 points and then you look like, getting just abused in the fourth quarter by a team that's not even playing a center because Harden's team's in foul trouble. They're guarding you with OG Anunoby, who's fucking amazing defense, but still, you're supposed to be the best player in the world. You got a 5-6 inch height advantage on this guy. You should be dominating, and he was basically invisible, if not a negative for his team. Brutal stuff by Philly, and the crowd thing is bad. But I also, at the same time, like I forget where I heard this take. I would credit them, but it's so true. They pointed out where it's like you can't blame it. The organization and this team has given the Philly fans a general sense of dread about this team. Like, would you want to be there and be, like, witness the horrifying thing that's going to happen to your team and you got some fucking New York asshole who's willing to pay 5 times as much to come an hour away and see the game because it's still cheaper than MSG where it's all, these idiot New York celebrities are paying all the money. Like, I don't know. I get why I'm not happy about it, but I, kind of get it if I'm a Philly fan.
Well, I'm very happy about it. But I think you're right. It's like, if you look at where the two franchises are, like the Knicks franchise is they're so hyped right now. They're so fired up.
Right.
And Sixers fans are literally just they know they're just looking above them for the gal like the whole time. Like, they know their hangman's noose is right around the corner. They don't know where to go. So, I mean, But it doesn't mean we're not,
You're like,
you're
you
not
want me
going
to
to
pay
rip on Philly
all
for
this
it.
money to go to my own funeral? Like, I'm good.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Like when they, like every
No.
single Sixers fan walking to that arena has to feel like Joe Pesci in Goodfellas,
Yeah.
where he just like thinks he's going to get made, and it's just like,
100%.
oh shit, bam.
Yeah.
So, and they lost. So, kind of anyone who didn't spend the money on the ticket is
And
kind
as
of
Embiid calling out the crowd too after the game, if I was the crowd, I'd be like calling out Embiid, like, you suck in the playoffs and let us down every time. Like we're not falling for it. It's fucking Lucy with the football.
But I mean, we better not do that shit in Boston because you can't. That is such a tough look to get over that.
We're not going to because our fans don't hate the team for good reason. Like that's the thing. I can't even really blame. I want to make fun of the Philly fans. I almost can't.
I get where they're coming from, but you have to make fun of them for it because
still going to, obviously. But I like also kind of totally get it.
Yeah. All right. You got anything else?
No, just exciting times. Really good stuff all around.
Yeah,
good stuff all around. I think you glazed over what's going on in that Bucks Pacers series a little bit. How dead they are with no Dame and Giannis.
Well, yeah, the Bucks are dead. Yeah, no Dame, no Giannis. I saw Chris Middleton at the game. Bobby Portis got ejected. The Bucks fans are screaming they want Bobby Portis fucking traded. It's a disaster.
I mean, it is hilarious. How do you get ejected knowing your team that like they probably for their second best player they had available? He's ejected in the first quarter. No, it's just
isn't it? But he's crazy. You can't. He's crazy.
Yeah.
That's just what it's like. Look at the crazy eyes, man. That's a guy that if you're putting all your eggs in that basket,
that's very true.
It could work out. I'm not saying it can't work out, but he's crazy.
It's
fucking nuts.
I don't think they're really that legit. I think it's just kind of working out for them. But it's that Pacers team and that building in a playoff atmosphere when they get going is fun to watch too. When they're running,
Pacers Knicks could be very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, and talk about a contrast of styles.
Yeah, that'll be good. That'll be some old school shit.
Like
get Reggie Miller in there.
Feeling like the 90s.
Oh yeah. All right.
And also when that series does hopefully end next game, that end of season Doc presser is going to be like I'm going to look for that like an album drop of like my favorite artists. Like I can't wait to hear some of the bars he's going to put out.
Oh yeah, that'll be good. Can't wait to
hear who he's going to blame and how much pity he's going to be seeking, and
poor guy.
He's a martyr. He's Doc's basically a martyr. Dying for everyone's sins right now. Bucks are lucky to have him.
All right, that's a pod. Celtics win 102-88. Up 3-1. Let's go. Let's close it out. No bullshit. Check us out on Wednesday. Make sure you're going also, too. Quick plug for the store, chuddyscorner.com. Check it out. We have a merch store up. We got T-shirts, bucket hats, coffee mugs. We're getting a few more stuff out there, too, soon. So make sure you go in there. Get yourself some Chuddy merch. And yeah, follow us on Twitter at Doug_Outs. Follow Chuddy at King Chuddy. Follow the show at Chuddy's Corner. And go buy some merch. Merch. All right. See you back here on Wednesday. Take care, Chuddy.
Peace out, Chuddy.